Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I was supposed to say gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? Ege. All right. All right. Good morning, guys. My name is Akorede Zakaria. Today I'm going to behave myself. And I'm going to pay attention to my pronunciations because I have a guest who speaks so well, has such a great voice.
Fake news, but okay.
Has such a great voice. My dear friend, she's been a friend for a very long time. If you're watching or you're listening, I have with me Mayowa. To welcome Mayowa to another scintillating.
It is such an honor to be here.
Mayowa, the dynamo. Mayowa. I remember the first time I met you. Anyways, before we go into how we met, we're going to be talking around again. So if you notice, we're kind of on a series called Christ in Culture, where the old man that I am, even though my voice, I'm not really that old, I'm young, but the old man that I am is having conversations with amazing, brilliant, younger. Young is definite. Younger. It might be 1 year or 2 year or 3 year younger than me, but younger guests on the show. On the podcast, we had Digi, we had Dotun Obaringi. Now we're having Mayowa, and those episodes, I've gotten a lot of feedback from these episodes, and I'm sure today is also going to be amazing. So we're talking Christ in culture. Mayowa is if I'm to describe you in one word, I would say Mayowa is permitted. She lives with a sense of permission. She know the weight. She move career. One day I just got a text. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you, AK. No, you don't call me AK. It's the people in my new office. I forgot to tell you, Kuridi. I'm moving from da-da-da to da-da-da. And at first, they're two different industries. They're doing two different things. But it's my watch. She would kill it. And now she's giving me another bomb today. She's moving another. Mayowa. You're welcome to Redefinitions.
Thank you very much.
You have to talk today. You have to talk.
I'll try to talk as much as possible.
Not be shy. I'm sure you're not shy. Because when you're going to Rwanda and you're going to Alimosho and all those places, taking pictures, Mayowa, you have fun.
I try to.
You are the definition of a young Christian that has maximum fun.
Maximum? I try to enjoy life as a baby girl that I am.
And the amazing thing is, you are such a baby girl, but you are such a deep child of God. So this is and I guess, honestly, that's a major, as simple as that is, it's actually a huge lie and a huge stumbling block that the enemy puts in front of young people to say, just give a picture of what the faith is like. And almost as though for you to be committed to a deep, meaningful, impactful walk with the Lord, you have no social relevance at all. But you're someone that I've seen over the years that I look forward to the next thing you're doing. It's that, I'm so you have fans on Instagram that are not necessarily liking the. So if they're watching you, you know me now. I'm watching you, but you've always lived with that sense of permission. And where does that come from?
Where does that come from? I think I just want to enjoy life. Life is stressful enough as it is that not constantly, but I am on the lookout for how to enjoy life, what to do, what new things to do. And then I have friends around me that notice that and then share with me, oh, this is happening here today, that is happening here next week, come through there. I think for me, a huge, part or pointer of where it started from was that it got to a point I realized that I was always defining myself by work and career, and I felt like I didn't really have hobbies outside of that. So I'd meet people and it's like, oh, who is Mayowa? Mayowa is a copywriter. And that was the end. I didn't know what else Mayowa was outside of that. I didn't enjoy, there was nothing to, what's the word? It was just go to work and come back. And there was, I can't remember where I'd gone to, where that had happened, and it hits me and it's like, okay, from now on, I want to consciously find things that I enjoy. I want to discover things that I enjoy. And I started going out.
So, but how does... I feel like I really, really feel like I'm like interview mode today. Because I don't enjoy life like that. I don't go out. I only go out with my wife.
And that's cute.
Yeah, and we go out to eat.
God when.
And we go out to eat. And I play FIFA, of which I've not played FIFA anymore. Me and my friend were fought of FIFA. I abused him. I told him to shut up. And he got upset. As we're playing old men. So he's on a sabbatical now. And he has not played FIFA in a while. So, but, okay, so here's the thing. How does that affect your work with God in any way? Does that put you in uncomfortable positions? What are the things that guide this baby girl life? And I like the way we are calling it baby girl, but it makes people uncomfortable already. How does that guide this baby girl life? Do you have a prayer life and you're baby girl in? Do you understand my point? I know you do. That's why I'm asking. How does this affect it? Does this hinder it, or is this even like something that adds to it?
It can affect it because there is having fun and then there's having fun within certain like boundaries and confines. I would admit that there has been in the seeking of fun where you go to some places and it's like, I probably shouldn't be here again. Out of curiosity, I have had fun, even outside of boundaries that I shouldn't have. And then in those moments, there and then, it just hits you and you're like, I probably shouldn't be here again.
I mean, for me, it's that one of the things I feel like, and I'm going to go a little bit by Bible deep somewhat, is that we have a construct where church almost wants to take all your time. And sometimes we even pride ourselves in that. We say things like, Hagin had a 3 weeks meeting. Why can't we have a 3 weeks meeting? I don't know if you've heard that before. We say things like, and those meetings were morning and evening. And we say all that. And for me, the challenge is, where do we live the life? And how do we commune? So I've always had this argument, and this is me. And I had a moment where it became clearer to me. Communion, for example, the whole idea of the communion. So one day I was invited to speak to a group of young people who had fasted for a month and wanted to end their fast with a picnic. And when I got there, they were going to eat at the end of the picnic.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, nah, please, can you guys start eating now? Your fast has ended. Eat now. But where I'm even going is, so then we ordered pizza. And the pizza came at the same time they wanted to have communion. So they had those communion biscuits. But the pizza, slices. And my mom was like, no, we're going to use the pizza to do the communion. Because it looked more to me like the experience Jesus had with his disciples. So the Bible says he took a bread, and then he tore it and then gave it to them, and they kept tearing, and then and the thing went round and all that. That there is a sense of festivity that should accompany our faith. And I know it's a strange, and we don't. In fact, I can almost subscribe that the absence of that for me is probably the presence of some high-handedness from ourselves in terms of trying to prove our depth and all that. Like, if brethren can't come together, yes, I use the word brethren, can't come together and have fun and, relax and eat and talk and play with one another, then it begs the question, is it really a fellowship? You get? Is it really a fellowship? And sometimes you kind of see that people struggle to keep that up. And what then happens is they have two experiences. So they have the church experience, and then they have friends that they vibe together that we don't see. So sometimes the people like, I will pray, they might run that energy for 3 weeks. And then after that, there is Brother James that they go to a bar together and all. So in your own experience, what would you say to that? Have you seen that, or how does that play out in your own experience?
So I have seen that. I think it kind of reminds me of, I don't know where I read it, where it's like you should find utmost joy in fellowship with believers in church and outside church. And I think that's why we have people like Gaze Baba doing Aramanda, where it's like we can come and party together within the faith. Or you have people pulling off things like Believers Bond, where it's basically just us coming to do our own games day or games night without it necessarily being outside of the boundaries.
Without playing true or dare.
Without playing certain types of truth or dare.
Oh, there are certain times there.
There are things happening. Things are happening in the world.
Yeah. And question again is also like, you're in the tech space. I was at a wedding once, and the wedding was probably the best Christian wedding I've been to. There was a soundtrack. I mean, everything was really nice. The preaching, and the food. Oh my God,
it was good.
The food is the best. What pained me was that my stomach is small, and I couldn't. That kind of wedding where you cannot do take home. Cannot, And it occurred to me, and almost everybody at the wedding were like tech. Like, I mean, if I mention their names, you probably, if you're in the tech space, you know them, right? And in that moment, and because even before then I'd heard of how deeply infiltrated into the drug culture the tech space is generally becoming, and even into the liberal, I need to find a better description than just liberal, like the sinful liberal culture. Let me put it that way. The anti-God liberal culture is pervasive in the tech space, where and I mean, I'm going to go here, I really don't care, where someone gets funding and you kind of use that people don't see the activism behind it, where I have to look a certain way, I'm like pushing an agenda, my nails are tinted, my lips are I don't really care. Like, if you know the person I'm talking about, God help you, I won't do him the service of mentioning his name, but you get. And where that culture is pushing that, and then believers are also in that culture, and how do we begin to shine the light in a not in a dismissive or a judgmental way,
like you shouldn't be doing
but
this,
but being the light, shining. The Bible says, in amongst whom you shine as light, in this dark world. You get? How do we do that? And for you, how do you do that in that space? How do you even exist in that space without catching a lot of the bugs? The way I look at it is, there's just a lot of bugs, and all those bugs are ideological bugs. So things around sexuality, things around recreation, things around femininity, femininity. I don't know if that's the right word, or feminism. And all those things. How do you cope? Because you can't run from it. We have to shine in the middle of it. How do you cope? in that space.
So for that, I think it kind of goes back to something you had mentioned earlier, where it's like, oh, some people have church life and social life, and it's like we cannot, and it's something I've struggled with also. We cannot afford to have like dualities in our life.
Yeah.
My church life is my social life. It's the one life that I am living everywhere. Where it's like I'm constantly part of it is also having, what's the word now? Having a local assembly also helps, where you are being grounded every day and reminded week in, week out who your identity is, what your identity is, what defines life for you. And then you are carrying this outside where it's like, with me, for instance, something I've consciously started trying to do is share faith on social media so that I'm reminding everybody that is seeing me having fun that this is the core of who I am. So it's like I cannot afford to have dualities of life where it's like, oh, this is church life, that is that life, this is one life that I'm living.
Let me tell you an interesting story. I was telling my wife, so we're talking about, so I was in school, I was graduating, and it's interesting how God listens to our thoughts. I was listening to a man of God and he said, you have been praying, but you don't just know that you're praying. Again, I mean, there's a boundary to that, but it's true. It says, and I was thinking, that's my daughter, 9 years. I was thinking, so someone was being invited to preach, and I was like, man, like, they won't invite someone like me to preach. I was just thinking it in myself. Then I go to the hostel, laid on my bed, slept. And that when people talked about, so again, why am I in a mood this today? I don't want to look for trouble. I'm just in a mood of troublemaking. Anyways, so one of the principal ways God speaks to me is through dreams. You can use theology and say, no, there's inward witness. I agree. But me, inward witness, primary dreams. Consistent. In fact, there's time that I used to pray. Well, after I finish my devotion at night, I don't talk to anyone. I just want to go and lie down and sleep so I know it to block my airwaves and ready to come. So I went and I laid down. And as I laid down, I just speaking to how lives, this dichotomy that we keep creating, right? And I laid down. And as I laid down, I saw someone hand me an envelope, an invite. And I opened it. And the title was The Place of the Holy Spirit in Our Worship Life. I can remember. I can never forget. and in the dream, I said to her, hey, what one is worship life? Which means, which one is worship life? And she was like, hey, PK, they used to call me, I've had many names. Some people are calling me AK now. They just call me PK then. Like, PK, no, anything you just want to talk about. And then the next day, I saw her walking towards me. And then she handed me an envelope. And then I opened it. And it was the place of the Holy Spirit in our worship life. And this is the funniest thing. Guess what? I did not know when I said, hey, what's in the worship life again? Like, I literally repeated
itself in real life.
It repeated itself. I'm like, did I not remember that? And I was laughing. And then again, it goes to show that we have one life. And we must do well to ensure that our faith is expressed in that life, in every context that we find ourselves. Exactly. I mean, have we worked together?
Yes. Yes. My first job.
Okay. But I left.
You left short there.
Yeah. Okay. But I knew way before.
Yes.
Before the job. Okay. So, we, and it's to take the faith even to where we work. And there's this thing around loving the people in the world. Not loving the world, but loving the people in the world. For God so loved the world. And what that means is God loves the people in the world. Everybody is created in the image of God. And so God is given to everyone to love them. And that's why Jesus came to die for them. And we also must show that love. And many times, the avenues we have in showing that love is not in when we bring them to church.
Because a lot of them are not going to come to church.
They're not going to come to church. I mean, and they shouldn't come to church, actually. A lot of them should not come to church. I'm telling you, they should not come to church. For example, I believe that when Sundays in many churches should be more evangelical. I'm telling you, because a lot of the people that come don't know Jesus. So I'm telling you, why I believe is my belief. It's just personal belief. It's probably wrong. is probably wrong. I believe midweek service, I always think in my mind that the real number in any church, the real number are the people that attend midweek service. That
make the extra mile, the extra effort.
Those are the disciples. That's the real numbers. Plus people that, of course, you add streaming numbers to it because transportation and people might not be able to get there. So
seeing as fuel is now
even before fuel, I mean, especially if the church is not in a neighborhood. So there's churches that are set in neighborhoods, right? And the younger churches now are not necessarily set in neighborhoods. So you have to, like,
a bit of a distance.
you get, but real number, because Sunday is still, and which is good. I like it. I don't think that we should structure church in a way where unbelievers can come.
Can come for sure.
I think unbelievers should come, and I think that we should. But the thing is, I don't like it when we talk as though we don't know that there are unbelievers in our midst. That now is to pain me.
People that come to tick the box.
Because you kind of see, even from the way people dress sometimes. I know you are not a believer. It's not that there's a way believers dress, but there's a way believers don't dress. And why are you laughing? It's not true. There's a way believers don't dress now.
Fair.
There's a way believers don't dress. Believers don't dress to be sexy. I said it. Believers don't dress. I'm telling you now. Believers don't take inspiration from the Kardashians for their dressing. I said it. Believers don't dress to be sexy. Believers dress to look good, but with a consciousness of the message, knowing that their bodies are just like this glorious designs that God has given them, and that God lives inside them, and that they are sexual beings that have effects on other sexual beings.
Word.
Right? And it goes both male and female. I was listening to a message, and this person, I love the guy. I just love the guy. I said, you could be wearing your shower shorts as a guy.
Why are you trying to tempt?
Why? You say, yeah, we are shower shorts as a boy. Well, it's true now. Because we guys, we used to feel like that we are.
Yeah, you can get away with anything.
We used to feel like we don't tempt you guys. It's like, like, I don't know, the chest
say,
hair.
men are visual beings, but women are these.
That chest hair. I don't even know why chest hair should tempt a girl, but alas, it does. I mean, and we can talk about these things. And these are also parts in culture that we need to really, really see, that our faith is all-encompassing. And our faith is more about a liberty rather than restriction. That we've been called to liberty. It's like, and that's the first thing we have to establish. Like, Jesus is not there counting, and it's not so much about what you cannot do. In fact, the faith is really more about what you can do. That now you are born again, you can serve God. Now you are born again, you can heal the sick. Now you are born again, you can live above sin and all that. So again, you are allowing me to talk so long, so I'm going to stop, and you are going to add something to it. Our faith and liberty. Yeah, go. Your pastor is listening to you.
Our faith and liberty. Now I'm stuck.
No, don't be.
So yes, just building off of everything that you've said, where it's like, and just taking it back to what you had mentioned earlier about how the people that we're going to reach out to are not necessarily going to be in church on Sundays. And it now goes back to why we need to be everywhere, but not everywhere. Mm-hmm. i.e., our lives cannot afford to just be home, work, church, back. Yeah. Because we need to be in the social spaces where the people we need to reach are.
Absolutely.
And we're going to do that by going out.
Mm-hmm.
That going out now has to have certain boundaries around it, where it's like you're going out, but you're going out with a mindset of a reminder of who you are.
Absolutely.
And you cannot afford to do everything that is being done in the outside that you're going to.
Yeah. I'll give you 2 examples. I'm in America. I'm struggling. Like, I'm really struggling. And you struggle for acceptance. It's not like now that you travel, there are like 100 Nigerians. I might not see Nigerian for 3 months. And then Spanish people are really, really good people. Unlike Americans. So those Americans, like, if you can't hear what they are saying, you're not their friend. But the Spanish guys are like really, really good guys. So we used to get along a lot. So one day they invited me out. And we're there, and we had spoken, like all this shouting, like we had bonded, we're having so much fun. And then all of a sudden, someone just goes out and brings a even when I say it, this Corona, Corona beer. Oh, Jesus. It's golden like this. It's golden. They will now put lime. Oh. So the guy was just passing it around. So in the spirit of the conversation, he passed it. I can't grab the thing. You see, don't dim my hand. I say, yes. I say, well, Spanish or no Spanish? I know you people train. and I mean, that really happened, right? Then fast forward, I'm now working in Lagos. I think we won a pitch. It was like my first agency. We won a pitch. Then we went out to...
Let's go party.
Let's go celebrate the pitch, right? And then we're there. And then they ordered Heineken round. And then, of course... So at that point, I said, like, just give this one malt. So it's malt that Christians drink. Malt. Drink malt or juice or water. They gave me malt. So, but the thing is this. Beer gets sweeter as you count the bottles.
You start feeling the smell and taste.
Malt gets bitter by the second round.
So you couldn't go as many bottles as every other person was going.
When they gave me the second one, it was my punishment. And I am going on. God help you guys. So, yeah, but we need to be in those spaces. And I remember, and this was really, really interesting, is that one of the guys that we kind of... I've had my creative directors stop me on the road to pray. Like literally, Oyinbo. Like, white guy. Like, probably does not believe in God and all that. Like, his job was on the line saying, Akorede, you pray. You pray.
Yeah, you pray. We're going to use every method that we have.
We have to win this ritual. Like, the guy stopped me on the road. And then another friend, which was also I can't forget, one of like the biggest ad agency in Nigeria. That was when I got my scholarship. I was traveling and I told him, I went to see him. He was helping me put fake cracked version of Adobe on my laptop. And then he said, Kwede, can you pray for me? I was like, in the car park.
They hold you.
And that shows how we must live out our faith. Mm-hmm. That we are epistles. We are letters to the world. Your confidence, your boldness. And like I can keep talking about different examples. A good friend of mine, of course, he knew I was Christian. We always talked. He's also Christian and all that. Then one day, someone slumped in the office. And then there was this, of course, panic.
Chaos, panic, everyone running around.
And I did, again, I'm probably bad in emergency scenarios because I'm not bad. It's fate. It's fate. I when emergencies hit, my fate, I just find this.
Default.
I just see answer. This. I was I can't feel in my mind. So downstairs, I've moved the car because in my mind, I'm going to rush her downstairs. So I wasn't going to wait. I knew they would bring her down. So I moved the car, opened, I was so clear-minded, opened the door. They entered, then I was driving to the hospital. Overtaking and all that. And we got to the hospital. And then we go back to... And then the guy that came with said, today I know that you're a Christian. Said, because the way you drove... I was speeding, but...
With calmness.
I'm not going to add more people. And then in my mind, I can't forget. In my mind... The first time that phrase, and that probably heard preachers say it, not under my watch. That was just what was going up in my mind. Not under my watch. You're not under my watch. And I just kept saying it in my heart. It was important for me not to lose my calm and to be able to
manage the situation.
Just and all that. And that's how we show out the life of God. Yep. And we can't show it in our closet and just in our churches. But I like your point. Be grounded in a local assembly because there are boundaries that we can't go outside because we're believers. Yep. And those boundaries, keep being within those boundaries is actually what these guys want to see.
Is what reminds them that we are together, but we're not the same.
Yeah. That we're together, we're not the same. We're together, we're not the same. All right. So let's pivot. So we've talked about having fun, and where do you get your sense of adventure from?
Sense of adventure.
Or you don't do that, you have sense of adventure.
I have never really thought of myself as someone that has a sense of adventure, to be honest.
Will you do bungee jumping?
Yes.
Yeah, you see. you answered without. Are you looking forward to it?
Yes. I'm looking forward to going skydiving for my birthday this year.
Oh. What did you do for your last birthday?
I was at home. I was healing heartbreak, so I
I
was going through things that time.
The year before that.
The year before that was a regular year. I had a regular photo shoot, hung out with friends and all of that.
This was like party, like
a mini get together, something like that. But I'm looking forward to doing a lot of things. Actually.
Like, tell me some of the things you have in mind
looking
to do.
forward to going skydiving, bungee jumping, traveling a lot more, exploring more cities.
How many countries?
locations.
Okay.
I haven't been to that many countries.
Okay.
To be honest.
I know these are self-sponsored. I know your parents don't give you money for these things.
Yes.
I am sure.
Self-sponsored, yes.
I saw you and your brother. You guys went to Rwanda.
Yes, we went to, and it was so much fun. And it was the stamp of, oh my God, I need to travel a lot more. I need to explore more places.
I don't like this
explore
episode.
cities.
My wife is not letting me rest after this episode. I don't like this episode. Mayowa, please, you can come and be going.
Good.
Yeah. Let's talk about excellence. What do you define as excellence in work and in life and in everything?
What will I define as excellence? I think I would define excellence as hitting whatever the standard is, hitting it and going above and beyond.
Okay.
It's a reminder of, I can't remember where the Bible verse is, like whatever you're doing as unto the Lord and not unto men. So whether it's in work, whether it's in career, whether it's in school, whatever you're doing, you are hitting that level and even more. Because again, back to our conversation, you are a representative of God wherever you are, school, work, career, wherever you are. That excellence has to come through, because it cannot be like you are the one that is now slacking, or you're the one that's not meeting the goal or the standard or whatever.
Yeah. I will just be asking you questions since you don't want to ask me questions. Church. Yeah.
What's the question?
Church. What's your church life like?
My church life is church life. So I hear a lot of people.
You're a baby girl and a church girl.
I'm a baby girl and a church girl.
Okay.
I hear a lot of people say things like, "Oh, faith is personal," or you don't have to, belong. You don't have to go to church. All of that, and that is all nice and great when you're starting out as a believer. But I cannot overemphasize the importance of being committed to a local assembly. It is a huge part of what has helped me stay grounded, even in the midst of, because I am a very curious person and very exploratory person, and it is having church is what helps me stay grounded and not lose myself in the midst of trying to find fun or trying to explore or trying to try out new things. It also helps your growth, because there's only so much growth you would have when you are teaching yourself the Bible. The church exists for your growth, for your progress and joy in the faith. Is why we have ministers, why we have teachers, why you have apostles. Yeah, like there is a lot of church is this, church is that, but I cannot overemphasize the importance of it. It helps you, it gives you roots.
So, the local assembly for me, I'm a little bit, nowadays I'm a little bit,
You're rebelling.
I'm in my feelings. I'm not rebelling. And many people will call it that. I see an emphasis, especially on the phrase local assembly. And it is true. 100%. And it's undebatable. So whatever it is I say after I have said this does not negate the 1,000% of what it is. Bible says, neglect not the gathering together of one another, right? As is the practice of some. So that's very, very critical. You cannot add anything to it. You can't subtract from it. In addition to that, though, I see an unhealthy emphasis not for the sake of the people. Sometimes masked as for the people, but not necessarily for the sake of the people. There is a redistribution. So there is a generation now that are resettling. What do I mean? Most, if you were a Christian and you were born into a Christian family, most likely you're not attending your parents' church.
Like me.
Like you, right?
Yeah.
Like my parents were Muslims, but I'm not attending the first church I got born again in, right? So with this new, there is an emphasis that has to do with carving out my own. Like, these are my people. Yeah. These are not, like these are my people. There's an emphasis on the local assembly sometimes to edge in people and keep them within that fold, which for me is where it's unhealthy, right? And what do I mean by that is, if I can't define my local assembly, and I can't put my friend who does not attend that local church in the same frame of importance as the members of that church, then there's a problem.
Yeah, I get you now.
Do you understand? Yeah. If I don't see, my guys are laughing at me because they know I'm being careful, so they're laughing at me. But honestly, like, so again, we need to. There's this branding and ownership that
specific place is.
Yeah, and where that emphasis kind of tends to drive, which is for me what I don't like. I'm like, again, we're repeating some of the things we have seen in the past and unknowingly, because again, those things are easy to criticize when you are not in those positions. So the local assembly is a family that you belong to, but the structure really it has to be more organic, like we've said.
Yeah. And a community of believers.
Exactly. I was talking to. I think I was telling my wife. I was telling someone, like, I agree to the apostleship model that is now coming, where, like, your pastor is now being referred to as an apostle. My pastor in the church I attend is being referred to as an apostle. I agree to it, and the reason I agree to it is this: if I have 10,000 members, I'm not everybody's pastor. Yes. I can be everybody's apostle, because the central message that binds all of us together comes through me, which is the sent one. But I can't be everybody's pastor. Everybody
can't be accountable to you.
Exactly. As their pastor, because pastoring is a flesh and blood touch.
Like an accountability. I am responsible for this person. I know the people I'm responsible for.
I know the person's house. I know the person's birthday. I know the person's troubles. I know the person's potential. I know the person's follies. If the person does not come, I know, is that the person has watched pornography and masturbated and now is feeling guilty and is not coming, or the person has smoked, or the person is fighting another person. You know, I really know
them to the core.
To the core. You get?
Yeah.
And that's why I like, yes, let's all of you be apostles. Let's even make it's good. Once you have 1,000 people, I give apostleship. I'll say, it's not just in my head. Again, I might be wrong, but pastoring is an active role. That's why to the church in the house of their houses.
Yes. I know who I'm talking to.
I know who I'm talking to. I know that, and that has to be, for me, where it's critical. And again, and we're not the first to do this. I mean, the older churches had cell systems, and the idea of those cell systems where you are
in the midst of everything, you have people you're accountable to. You have specific communities.
Exactly. And those cell leaders, what we also sometimes now do is that those cell leaders is an attempt to feed the bigger body and to grow it, not necessarily to grow the people that are already there. You get and all that. And for me, it's critical that as we navigate, which is and
I think it then goes back to not forgetting the fellowship, community fellowship beyond I am part of church,
Absolutely.
I am going there every Sunday and all of that, there is still the place of, are these people my friends?
Yeah.
That we can enjoy life together, we can go through life together, we can have experiences together.
Absolutely. I believe that if you are people that you are not eating with, you are not having fellowship with. Again, and I can, but Jesus was always eating. Paul was always eating. All of them always eating. People that you are not eating with. People that you are not eating with. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm telling you, as simple as what I'm saying, you must put hand in the same pot bowl. People, anybody, someone, nobody should come to my house because I said such chasing people away. You know, like, and that's very, very important. And that you have to do, like, so that's the point. If we meet together, I will say, oh, okay, there's this guy is singing somewhere, let's go together. This guy is singing somewhere, let's go together. Oh, this guy, there's an art festival, let's go together. I mean, let's explore the world together. Let's travel together. And that's how we start to know where we are hurting. I think you even know, like, your joy level, your love level. Like, it's easy.
And then it's easier to even build accountability that way, because if we're doing every Sunday, it's very easy to act and be perfect in church. But the more you start to build one-on-one connections is when people start to really see you, is when you get to be vulnerable with people, is where you now get to have the part of church that involves, I am accountable to this person. This person can call me to order when I'm out, because the only way they can call me to order is when they even know that I'm out in the first place.
Yeah.
If we're going to church every Sunday, I can act the entire Sunday rule, and they would never know when I am halfway gone already.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember growing up, I had Bro Ezekiel, and shout out to Bro Ezekiel. I mean, I always mention him. And the thing was, he taught me everything. I met him as a teenager. He taught me how to pray. And the beauty of it is, and every time I think about it, it's just mind-blowing. He was living in his brother's house. So he was living in his brother's house. After service, like, I'll go to his brother's house. Sometimes I'll sleep over. We'll sleep on the same bed. Right? And I saw him grow. In fact, it's 10 years. It's exactly 10 years older than me. And we kind of, before I get into any season in my life, it's almost as though I'm reliving those seasons, because I've seen him go into them, and he would pick out the lessons for me in those seasons. Like, he was heartbroken. So I knew when he was heartbroken. I mean, he was 27, I was 17. Or he was 28, I was 18 when we met.
So he was foreshadowing
everything that I'll be heartbroken.
And this is how to do with it.
This is how to do with it. You probably would get jobs. You will grow in your business. My mentor is my mentor, right? My mentor used to give word of knowledge in office. Like, people waiting for the fruit of the womb. He said, like, the Lord says I should tell you. The one that, like, serious steez. Like, one day he went to the office, was praying in the morning. He saw an angel with a baby. He had a vision. Saw an angel with a baby. The angel goes into a room and he was looking for a lady, and she wasn't there. So he goes by his colleague and says, come. What are you planning to do? God, I saw an angel bring your baby. This is one of the telcos.
So it was as secular as it gets.
One of the telcos says, the angel is bringing your baby. You were not in the room. What are you planning to do? Say, my mother-in-law said we should go and do IVF. Say, don't do it, though. The angel is bringing your baby. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And then someone hears that and comes to me and says, I'm looking for a child now. And he comes saying, I'm not the one that gives children. And then God speaks to him and says, go and tell her that I'm honoring her faith. And then he goes back and he says to her, God says, I should tell you that he's honoring your faith. He's going to give you a baby. And God told him that he should tell everybody to start congratulating her. But he was too embarrassed to say it. So he did not say that part. Then the woman goes and says, God is giving me in the office. And then everybody starts getting up. Like, the word of God was so alive in that office.
And it goes back to your church life, is your work life,
it's
your
everything. And then they start to congratulate her. Then she comes and says, hey, you see, they are all congratulating me. Say, I'm not going to, like, God actually asked me to tell everybody to be congratulating you. And you get things like that. So it's from an organic fellowship, really. And so he taught me everything. And there was a time I wanted to make an emotional decision. women and men things, And he looked at me. He looked at me straight in the eye and said, if you don't go, I was supposed to go somewhere. And because of a girl, I was like, maybe I won't go.
You won't go.
My destiny was about to shift.
It was on the line.
They looked at me straight in the eye and said, if you don't go, don't come to me again. And you see, after Jesus, it was
the
him.
next person.
I said, well, I'm going.
I'm packing my bags. I'm moving.
We'll deal with that issue later. And also, it's that organic space that we must create. And it's just how enriched life must be for us and how we must push it. So that's the way I see it locally. Okay.
Because I have friends that I have struggled with finding this organic. So it's like, again, it goes back to they've gone to church, they've tried church, but they just never really felt connected enough to build this organic. Because if it's organic, people hear organic and think, oh, it's supposed to happen naturally.
Yeah.
Is there a role you have to play in finding this organic friendship or building these organic relationships?
Yes. And the role is, one, you must see, you can't pay your growth lip service. Like the analogy I was giving you outside, right? Many times, and that's, if you see scientists and they are doing experiments, they'll put a rat in a cage, something they're going to try on humans, and then they'll see the rat's reaction and all. You can't pay your growth and your safety lip service. So the first thing is this: be honest with your desire for growth and your desire to be kept. Be very honest with it. And once you're honest with the values you want to grow, you won't need to look for the people. The people are near you. It's just that you are not honest enough to see them. You are not sincere enough to see them. Once you are sincere and you've seen them, it's now your responsibility to commit to them. Do you understand? Like, you have to commit to them. And when I mean commit to them, I don't mean, Pastor, I have something to say to you, or brother, I have something to say to you. No, not things like that.
An example of how to...
You are going home. I'm coming to your house today, and you go home with them. And you stay long enough. And then you come back again. And then you come back again. Like, you just keep going.
So it's like you, one, identify like what you're looking for. Identify the people that have that, and then consciously build that relationship with them. How do you become friends with someone? It's not just that you just realize that we spent enough time together, now we are friends. Like, you really shake, like, have sign-on ceremony, like, from today you are now my friend and all that. But again, at the same time, there are people you meet on the first day and you know this is not going to be my friend. This is not possible. And there are even friends, you're like, man, I didn't like you the first time I met you. Oh, man, you had to prove it. I just, like, I have a friend said, I used to hear about you, but there was a day we spoke. I was like, this guy is brilliant. Like, maybe this guy is brilliant. Okay? Do you understand? So, I mean, growing up, I say that my friends don't choose me. I choose my friends. Forget. That you are my friend means that you think you chose me, but I chose you. I had to, even when you're choosing me, I had to choose you back. Like, we chose each other last.
Exactly. So you have to look for people, and in your local assembly, those people are there. Some of them, you just click on their fashion sense. You just like, and it doesn't have to be mama. Think about it. Mama can't go around. Mama has children. Mama has husband. And then there are 2,000 of you. It's not sensible.
It's unrealistic to expect that.
And we put this pressure on pastors that... I grew up in a pastor's house when I got born again. And I can count how many times we did Bible study. I'm telling you. I grew up... What was teaching me was the love in the house. Was the peace in the house. That was a louder message than pastor saying, down. Open your Bible and let's read. Oh, there were people that were telling me, open your Bible and read. But you must understand that the teachings of God are beyond Bible study. Bible study is the foundation. Like, there's no teaching if we're not opening the word, right?
And then from there,
everything, every single thing. So you kind of identify and you go. And you don't be a burden when you go. You don't be a burden. You don't just go. Sometimes you learn sleep. You know, like, let me tell you how I grew up on it. Omole Estate, car park. We're talking. These guys like football. Then the guy says, I found out that they had DSTV or multi-choice those days. They also called DSTV. Pre-DSTV days. It was called multi-choice. Those days of huge dishes. And I could watch, Champions League
live.
I started going. And I was not born again. But as I started going, this house was peaceful. And they were kind. So I kept going. They just started preaching to me. I'll not really listen. But it was so palpable, the difference. It was as though you get into this AC, then you go to your house.
And it is hot as
it's
hell.
hot as hell. Like heaven, hell,
like
light, darkness.
Different.
And it was internal. It wasn't external. It was more internal. I'd been to beautiful places. I've been to better people's houses. But they didn't have, there was a presence in this house that my home did not have. And so it was like on one of the episodes, we kept talking about salvation, like you don't argue someone into faith. And I was almost like the fruit was just ripening. And one day, I used to tease my pastor, who's still my pastor till today, that he preached the most boring message that got me saved. Close your eyes. If you want to give a life check, come forward.
Your heart was already prepared before then.
Like, bam, I just went forward. You get. But in terms of growth and mentoring and discipling and pastoring, you have to be available. You just go. And I always counsel, for example, I don't like girls looking for male pastors up and down. I'm telling you, again, I don't think it's ethical. I don't think so. And I have Bible. If you read, is it Timothy? Is it Titus or Timothy? It says, women, train younger women.
Yeah.
And that's why, as you're growing, you have to know the word as a woman, because you are going to have younger people that will come to you to train. Does it have to be starkly behind gender lines? No. But
there's
see,
safety in.
I'm a young man. I know, I see contours, not just on my wife's body. They exist in different places. So I know it's unadvisable, and I make,
especially if you're looking to build that close.
Yes, now because
bond.
you cannot even grow without that close bond. Someone has to teach you to pray. Someone has to hear you praying, and then pray after you, and not correct you, and then pray after you again. You need to hear someone praying like, okay, he's not shouting. Someone said that. I think it was Hagin's son. Said he'll be praying inside. It's like he's actually talking.
He's having a conversation.
Like, I was near my mentor, and my mentor raised his hand. 2 minutes into worship, I know the routine. His glasses will go off. Tears are rolling down his eye, and he's wiping his eyes. Like, is it the same song we're singing? Why is this guy like this? There's something. Well, I'm doing morning devotion. I can never forget. I'm doing morning devotion with Ezekiel, and he will play Donnie McClurkin. He will pray, you will sing, cry. Stop it again. Sing, cry. There was no like automatic repeat. It was pressing. Then Adeyemi said, stretch your angels are here. They want to bless us. Like, morning devotion. Are you serious? Then he will now dress up. He was the finest man ever. Finest man, tall. He would dress up with his tie and everything. One day I looked at him and said, if I try to be like you, I'll go to hell. He was like, what do you mean? I said, because if people see you outside, like, you just see you're fine, but they will not know that you're a child of God. That's how I grew up. So, and I could be that intimate with him. There's nothing about my life that Brazil doesn't know. You understand? Like, even now, like, it's second nature. That if I want to take a decision, now I take all my decisions by myself. But I'll just like, Epa, these are the things. So these are the things that I might not talk to him in months because it's outside the country. But once we talk, it's just like this, and I have like 3-4 people like that. Like, they know when they call me or I call, it's going to be a 2-hour conversation.
Catch up time.
I actually have one. She's okay, all right. Your children. Oh, David is this
list of agenda.
No. She will ask me when I'm done. She say, okay, your business. She does not. She's a missionary. She knows nothing about business. She say, okay. Say it again. You know why? She's writing prayer points down. Like, she's literally writing prayer points. She say, okay. So what are we trusting God for then? She's writing it down. So I'm about to shake it. So I've redefined spiritual fatherhood. I've redefined a lot of those things. It is functional. Someone must be playing that function. It's not this thing where there's this load of power somewhere that someone will just put in your life, or there's this huge death that you're paying. Nah, it's a function. And so, I mean, to reiterate again, you have to be conscious of what, you see, you can't lead someone that is not led. The first leading is the Holy Spirit. So I'm in touch with God. There's a burning desire in my heart for something.
For this relationship.
You get for growth, for safety. That's why we can't preach people into safety. Oh, you are not safe. You are not if you are in a local assembly. The people we are telling that, because it's organic, you should know that you are not safe. Like you know. If you have a active, vibrant walk with God, you know. So that's one. So you identify that. Two, there are I'm telling you, anyone that's listening to me, don't look far. Don't pray about it. Don't look far. It's around you. Once you recognize it, it's like magnet. You'll be seeing, and some of them will be the most unassuming people. They will not necessarily be the flashiest people. See, if a man has 1,000, but has 500 people to share in it, and there's a man that has 50, and I'm the only one, I'll go for the man with 50 because I'll get more. It's all for you. It's all for me. You get, so this struggling to take picture with pastor. You are not serious. You are not a serious. I'm telling you, are not a serious fellow. Meanwhile, your friend that got born again 4 years before you is actually the one that is your pastor. That's the one that can show you what
that you can be accountable
to. Can take what the apostle is saying and then break it down for you in a way where, and can check your life like, we spoke about anger yesterday. You still fought yesterday.
And they can only do that because they know what is going on in your life.
Because you're there with them. So that's very important. How do we go from having fun to these deep things? Yeah. All right. I think we've done almost an hour. Hey, how time flies.
Wow. I didn't realize.
Yeah. Prayer. Let's talk about prayer before we go. So, how do you pray?
How do I pray?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I don't know if that's the right.
I'm thinking of it.
Sorry, you know the funniest thing? I realized that most of the time we don't know how each other pray. Like, prayer is such a closet issue that we don't. I don't know what that is going to lead to, but it's just a thought in my head. So prayer.
It's different depending on where I'm at, where my head is, what I'm praying about. Prayer on some days is prayer we're speaking in tongues, we're going in and all of that. Prayer on some days is ranting. It's just ranting about every and anything that is just stressing me out at that point in time. And it's like, God, you can see all of this thing that's going on. Prayer on some days is just crying. It's just crying. In the middle of the rant, sometimes the rant will enter into crying and it's like, I'm not even doing it again. Just leave me. Let me just leave. So it's a combination of all of those things. Prayer on some days is in the sitting quiet and talking, but not necessarily talking out loud, where it's like there's just a lot in your head and you're just sharing it in your heart there and then with God and like listening back for what he has to say or what direction you're getting from it.
Parenting. You know, your parents are one of my legends.
My parents are one of my legends.
Yeah, your parents are one of my. I love them. Funny that I've never met them, but from the first day you told me about them, I'm like, oh my God, puppy love,
They are. I feel like I didn't appreciate. I loved them as my parents, but I didn't appreciate what I had until I got into like uni or higher in secondary school, and I saw how bad people had it. And I hear people say things like, oh, they can't have conversations with their parents, or their dad is never available, or I just hear how they talk with their parents, or see people shocked when they hear me talk about and with my parents. It's at that point that I had to go back and be like, yeah, you people really did a good job.
Yeah.
Like they have modeled because of them, I've never really had that marriage is a scam mindset that a lot of people have, or where it's like because of social media, a lot of people believe that marriages are bad and this and that. But it's like I can't afford to believe that because I grew up.
It's like a life.
Yes.
If you believe that. Yeah.
It's like I grew up seeing something different. I grew up having parents that were good to each other, loved each other, and loved us, and were intentional about parenting us. Were intentional about being our friends, knowing everything that goes on with us at every point in time.
You know, the interesting thing is spiritual parenting is also the same thing. And something happened to me when I was about to get married. I was thinking with God. My wife has this concept of thinking with God. Says you need to take time out to think with God. Only one day she'll explain it fully. But one day I was thinking with God and I said to him, Lord, I will be lying if I have a bad marriage and I blame it on my parents. Like, and I blame it on, like all this generational curse, like on my upbringing. Because my parents' marriages, I won't wish on my enemy, right? But I told him, I said I would be lying. And that's because, again, God brought me into relationships where I saw I saw marriages. And I'm saying that to say, I mean, what you've explained about your parents, many people don't have it. If you don't have it, you should be looking for people that have it.
To find it somewhere else.
And be going to their
social media.
Go to their house. Go and see. People don't understand. Go and sit down. Even when you are going, buy food. Be a good. Let's say that when you knock on that door, everybody happy that this one has come with food. Oh. But you are getting something. You can't learn marriage by listening to marriage messages alone. You learn marriage by seeing it. It stamps a picture on your mind. You learn by those examples. And that's where I got to where, I mean, in God's provisions for me, I had 3 marriages in front. I had a marriage. Let me give you an example. My mentor's marriage. I'll give you an example. So how solid this marriage is. So let's say you have a driver. The driver has been with you for over a year or 2 years. Your driver has never seen you and your wife argue. And then one day your driver comes into the house to carry your bag as Oga, and then sees tension between both of you. I realize that I can't carry you today. You have to sort it with your wife. I am not lying.
It's like I've never seen you people like
no,
this.
You guys, no. This guy was older than both of them. So the guy just, guess what? Oga carried bags. Okay, you can wait with her, and drove himself and did not fire the driver. Did not. Like, it can be like that. Like, that everyone will see your children. Like, in fact, sometimes we play, right? Sometimes we have to watch how we play, because sometimes the boys might not even understand how we are playing. Because they don't know a tense home. They don't know that conflict. They don't know all that, as God has helped us. So for those listening, you need to find it. And then for those that have it, this is the one that used to pain me the most. I asked a girl who was going on this feminist rant. I said, wait. I said, your father, is he great man? She said, yes. I said, your mother? I said, where do you not get all these things from? I said, why are you borrowing? Because again, some people don't honor what they have. They don't esteem what they have. Paul said, men like this, esteem them. When your father is a good man, let that be the picture of what men have. Don't say men has come. How can you say men has come? And your father has been faithful to your mother. It's just unfair. Do you understand? And you that your father has not been faithful, look for people, marriages, close quarter. Go and cut away. I'm telling you, some people, the secret to how their marriage will be great in future is looking for one big sister who has a great home, and you are cutting away, and then you are asking her questions stylishly. Okay, because you must take a learning posture. You have to be humble to build that, and you have to, and it doesn't matter whether you can meet. I was listening to something. I think it was an excerpt of what Gio said recently, and he was talking about his son was a driver to a man or a woman. And his son, the driver, got the man or woman saved. And then the man or woman now became an ambassador. Say, now my son has jackpot. Like, that's the kingdom. We always have this way where we don't exalt the values of the kingdom. You have to. And it's class, gender, culture neutral. So we must have the
defines.
Yes, and once you find it, go and learn. It says you should learn from the ant. Say, look at you sluggard, look at the ant. Go and learn from them. It's anywhere you can get it, which is people that exemplify what you desire for life to be. Anywhere you see it, go and learn. And you learn by service. Again, you learn by insistence. You remember now, when people want to come and say they want to do copywriting, I then give them this. I don't know if I give one huge assignment.
Can't remember.
I give these people ridiculous assignments.
And
they will run away. Half of them will never come back. And the idea was never that. You're trying to learn. I know you don't know what I'm asking you to do.
But go ahead, show effort.
Show effort. You have to be intentional. A lot of intentionality must go into it in terms of our lives. So to round off, I think we've spoken a lot. We are past 1 hour. And we can
I can't believe time has gone this much, though. Doesn't feel like that.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. There's like when we're in discussion, it just goes that far. All right, I think we should just hold it here. Mayowa, it's been an amazing time talking to you.
Same here.
You inspire me.
Hey,
yes.
You inspire me. You were one of the first mentors I had with my career when I was figuring life out.
Tell me.
It's part of why my parents, every time my mom calls me random, she'll be like, have you called Korede? Oh, you come up from time to time.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've always, from the very first time I met you, it was clear that there was just a difference. And I think I was telling my wife, I said, I have a daughter now. And my hope is that the confidence with which you do life, and I'm going to drop this to you, and I will drop it openly, that as you navigate life, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Like, your foundation is so sure that it gives you permission. Every time I talk about you having permission, I know it from my spirit, and I know you like that. I want to say from deep within. So you have permission, and as you go, you can always navigate your way, and you have a lot of resources around you to keep you. And I guess, to those listening to us, your life is so beautiful. God has designed beauty in your life. Go ahead, identify your friends, identify your mentors, identify your pastors. Put the things we've said into action and live free. Live free. And let Jesus shine through you in those contexts that you find yourself. Thank you, Mayowa, for coming on Redefinitions.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Follow Mayowa. What's your Instagram? Do you want people to follow you? You don't mind? Yeah.
I'm about to become a travel content creator very soon.
Yeah. Okay.
The handle is Mayowa D. So Mayowa DY.
Okay, Mayowa DY.
Yes.
Please follow Mayowa and follow Akorede Zakaria. And Redefinition _pod. We love you. God bless you. We'll speak to you some other time. Take care. Bye.
Bye.